Welcome. I'm Kristy Sweetland. We're broadcasting from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I am broadcasting as the co-author of S.T.A.R Philosophy Fascinated Observer's Guide, along with my co-author Nina Brown, who began this journey with S.T.A.R, a now state of being, S.T.A.R Philosophy. Along with Ja-lene Clark, our publisher, editor, soul sister in all ways. And so welcome, ladies. You want to just say a little hi?
Who gets to go first?
You popped up first.
I guess I piped up first, yes. Well, Kristy, I'm just delighted to do this again. We always have such rich, deep, sacred, intimate conversations, the three of us, and I love your new format suggestion that we just do it, the three of us, for a while, and maybe make it a little bit shorter and more, guess what, focused.
Hello, Ja-lene.
Hi, Kristy. I'm Ja-lene Clark, and I'm here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, hanging out with my 3 dogs and chatting it up with Kristy and Nina about this fascinating book and the extraordinary benefit I've gotten from working on that book. It's been amazing.
So, and we're starting just a new venture in really just enjoying 20 or 30 minutes of focused conversation about what the S.T.A.R philosophy is, the concepts associated with the S.T.A.R philosophy, and just really luxuriating in being together and bouncing ideas off of each other, and then allowing you, the viewer, to be able to get a really clear idea as to what all of this means for us and for you. So I thank everyone for tuning in, and I thank you, Nina and Ja-lene, for being here. It's wonderful to have you together right now. So I just want to start with saying that I found a passage in Nina's book, S.T.A.R Philosophy, which was written before our co-authored book, S.T.A.R Philosophy Fascinated Observer's Guide. And I want to read that to you both. And what Nina wrote was, we all have access to the field in which all possibilities exist. What is your dream? Could it be to find a job where you're able to express your passion? Perhaps you imagine entering a new relationship where you are fully honored. What is it that would fill your heart if it were manifested and expressed? And so my question is, and the reason that I wanted to really focus on focus today was in the manifestation of our dreams, where exactly does focus fit within the S.T.A.R philosophy? And I wanted to get your view on that, both of your views on that. So, Ja-lene, let me ask you, when you hear the word focus, what do you immediately think of? What does that evoke in you, the word focus?
Well, for me, in my own process, as I'm creating, what happens is I go into a bubble when I go into focus. And so I can tune out the dogs barking, I can tune out the telephone ringing, I can tune out the things that are going on in the back of my mind that keep me distracted, and I can just have one thing exist that I'm ready to get done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
and Nina, what about you?
Well, I love that, Ja-lene. It relates so beautifully to a passage I'd like to read in a little bit. The word singular was very apparent in a message that came through to me the other day about focus. I believe that having your attention on one specific thing, whether in meditation or during a process of action like writing a book, it's only allowing that one singular purpose to exist, and not to be bombarded by other thoughts or interference.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And both of you, when I think of both of you, I think of incredibly empowered, accomplished women. You've both accomplished a lot in this world. What part has your focus played in driving those accomplishments? And when I say your accomplishments, there are too many to list here, but Ja-lene, with you just deciding to begin this entire new paradigm of publishing, starting your own publishing business, from ground zero, finding this collection of living, breathing books, as Nina puts it, in human form, directing all of us with such mastery. Where has your focus? What's your relationship with your focus and your accomplishments?
It's, I go to this place where I don't think that I can live with myself in my own mind and my own body unless I accomplish certain things and certain tasks. So I've got this drive inside of me, a tenacity. And so what happens for me when I'm in that place of, I'm going to get it done. I'm going to make sure it's done well. I'm going to listen well to what the universe is telling me to do. And I don't care what they say, I shall move that mountain. So I guess I have in my focus a mix of tenacity and stubbornness that works for me. And stubbornness isn't a word that we normally use in spiritual circles because it's not necessarily thought of as a wonderful trait to have. But for me, stubbornness and focus has worked really good. When I am focused on something, like in particular when I was creating Gather Insight and the original vision of it, my stubbornness came through because I saw things in the marketplace that weren't working for the type of content that I wanted to develop, that I felt was my soul mission, my mission on planet Earth was to develop this type of content. And so that stubbornness in me allowed me to go inside of the industry itself and look at what was working and what wasn't working, and then to make real deliberate shifts on how we did business.
And Nina, what do you think about that?
When I look at the word focus, I need to add two other concepts to it. The first would be innate knowing, and the second would be passion. So when I think of the areas that I have focused on and have achieved some manner of success or accomplishment, it always starts with an innate knowing that this is my purpose, my job, the next action step that I'm to take. And it is so profound coming from within that it has to be done. And this gives me a sense of extraordinary passion and love and drive and curiosity. They all come to play. And it's as if once I put all those pieces together, there's just no stopping me. And I think the other thing that is important, very often I don't know all of the pieces of the puzzle. I don't know the outcome. I don't know probably how I'm going to get there. And so what fun is that? And scary. Yeah, so passion for sure. Passion big time.
Well, I see that in all of us. I think that's a, first of all, I just want to say I love our energy together, because even though we have such a foundation of similarity, I mean, we're all, you know, living, breathing the star philosophy. We get that. But we also have really different aspects too. And I think that it's such an orchestra when we get together, because our energy is just, they complement each other in such a fun way. I always think that focus has been something that has driven me, sometimes to the point of perhaps detriment. And I'm like Ja-lene, I absolutely love my focus. I think it's really brought me where I am today, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. And sometimes it can take over, to the point of high blood pressure. You know, I get so focused on something, and sort of it becomes my taskmaster. So I wonder if you could say, and let's start with you, Ja-lene, when is focus too much? When can a person be too focused? And when do we start slipping out of the star philosophy in our focus?
Well, I think that's where the stubbornness comes in, and I've learned to manage that art of stubbornness along with focus, because I know the stubbornness is going to lead me to something that I need to understand, how it works. And once I understand how it works, if you use the star philosophy and you add in there surrender, all right, so I thought it was going to be this way and it's not this way. And, you know, am I willing to surrender this now and say, I don't know what's going to happen with it. I've done my job. I've done everything that I can. And can I let it go and fly on its own? That is what peace has come in for me in the last couple of years as I've been working with the philosophy is, okay, so I drive, very Capricornian, but then there's a point where I'm going to surrender my focus because I know I've done enough.
Beautiful. I think that's very similar with what I'm really trying to learn in my life too. That there's this, when I went into this subject matter to really gauge how I felt about focus, I realized that there is a part of me who truly believes that without focus, our manifestation, our intention can't take root. And I do believe that to some degree, and I also think that there's some restriction energy in that for me, and because I think perhaps I give it more power than perhaps it needs. And in that freedom, in the release of that, I find, like you, Ja-lene, that it's about sort of balancing that with surrender. What about you, Nina?
I think there's a part of us that knows what's coming next. That it exists in that place where there's no time and there's no space and there's nothing happening. So they know what, this part of us knows what's next.
Yeah.
And sometimes the human part of us can be so stubborn that we need that carrot in front of us is, okay, so if I give her this carrot right now, she's going to follow me, but I'm not going to tell her where we're going yet. And that's fun. That's fun. When you think you're starting off somewhere for some certain reason and you end up getting there and go, oh, well, that's why I'm here. I sure couldn't have handled knowing that 2 years ago, but now I'm ready.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Nina, what about you? And I know this might be relevant to something you wanted to share with
Perfect
us.
time. I was going to ask if I could share a message that came through about 2 days ago. So I'm just going to, it's not very long, just maybe a half a page. We have a new topic to speak about this morning. Again, you wonder what you can write that would be new. We love to observe this perplexity in you. You know that all is within your field. We are merely pulling something out to focus on. Ah, you discovered the topic, focus. We are delighted that you will be pondering this enormous topic with Ja-lene and Kristy on Tuesday. We will be present and inspiring you as each one speaks. Now, what you have come to observe is that there are several ways in which the word can be applied. You chose to look at focus as it relates to the S.T.A.R philosophy, which is natural, and you are correct that setting the intention can be broad or in detail. We can read in between the lines. It is good, however, for one to give as much detail as possible, more for their own clarity than for that of the field. That is etheric manifestation. Now, Ja-lene has moved into the material manifestation, that of focused attention on completing a project. That takes action, as she pointed out. The more focused one would think, the better. But we will add that within that focused arena, there is the magic of the aha moments when inspiration comes in to dance with you. Focus did not create the aha, but the field of focus allowed it to appear. Do you understand the subtle difference? You did not force the aha by means of your focus. You allowed the space within which the aha presented. If your thoughts had been scattered, the possibility of you being able to capture that aha would be diminished. Now, there is also the aha that arrives during meditation or lucid dream state. We would offer that those conditions are also a state of focus, but are totally different expressions of focus. It is not a time of intentional doing, it is a time of focused nothingness. So what are we ultimately saying? Focus is a state of being when you have singular attention. It can be in doing or in not doing. Both are a state of focus. The word that is important is singular. Action or inaction are the choice that you make within the singular event. We hope that will add fuel to your discussion, the Andromeda Council of Light.
Beautiful. That's very powerful.
So going back to my particular area of interest, which is surrendering, trusting, allowing, and receiving an intention, what I've come to believe is that do it in detail, do it in a broader perspective, whatever is appropriate for you, but the intriguing thing is once you have surrendered that intention to the field, that's it. You don't have to put any more quarters in the meter.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. That's perfect. I think there's a misconception. First of all, that the concept of manifestation is oftentimes labeled New Age. And humans manifest. That's just what we do. In every context. It doesn't require a label. And I think there's another misconception that manifestation requires just throwing your hands up and not doing anything. Just saying, this is what I want, and then that's the end of the story, and that's not true either. I just watched a webinar this morning from a man named James Baraz, who is a Buddhist teacher and author of Awakening Joy, a book called Awakening Joy. And he said, and I thought this was perfect for our talk today, he said, the process of empowerment doesn't mean wishing or hoping something will happen. Having a vision, getting in touch with our heart and body to make it happen, doing our part in helping the universe help us, this is called focused intention.
Wow.
And I thought that was so relevant because I've heard you say Nina and Ja-lene, I've heard you both say that the terms wishing and hoping wouldn't be in your dictionary for the new the new world.
Yeah.
So, Ja-lene, what do you think about that?
Well, with hope, I think who planted the seed in my mind about hope was Don Miguel Ruiz years ago when I met him the first time. I think it was 1996. And it was such fun because he came into Tulsa and no one knew who he was at that point. And we had to beg 25 people to come to the event. It was really hard to get anyone there. Now, it's like, forget it. It's a completely different thing. But, you know, one of the things he said was, take hope out of your language. It was like, but, you know, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to take hope out of it. And so it's taken me years to ponder exactly what that means. But if I am hoping for something, I am continually pushing it away from me because it does not yet exist. If I wish, the same thing occurs. If I wish or I hope, it does not yet exist. And if we're living in the quantum field where everything is possible, then what we're doing is we're actually pushing those things away from us by hoping or wishing that it will be. There's other New Thought philosophers who have said that you need to get in the center of your dream while it's already occurring around you when you're doing your visualizations. And if we're in the center of the dream and it's happening, we're not hoping or wishing for it to happen, we're in it. And then we're in the now state of being. So it's like, it's just a dovetail back into what do you want? Are you clear about what you want? Are you being passive by wishing or hoping? Or are you a sovereign, divine being who's capable of creating what you want? And are you strong enough to stand in the center of it?
Wonderful.
Yeah, Kristy, I'd love to jump in here and just suggest that there is an action step, and the action, in my truth, the action step is not repeating and repeating and going over and over the intention. Once it's surrendered, the action step is appreciation and gratitude for what already exists. It might not be in manifest form yet because the dots haven't aligned, but it absolutely positively has been chosen by us, the sovereign being, and that collapses the waves of possibility into material reality. So it already exists, and surrounding it, as Ja-lene says, with appreciation and gratitude, I mean, go for it. That's the best action step I can think of.
Perfect. That's really powerful to hear. And there might just be some sort of banal action steps too, right? I mean, we all know that when we focus on something we want, there might be a few things that we feel we need to do in order to bring that to life. You know, there might be 2 to 10 things. But we get to that place where we fully recognize, okay, I have exhausted my focus here. I have exhausted everything that I can think of to do in the physical realm here in order to, like James Baraz says, help the universe help me. And is that when surrender comes in? Is that when gratitude and all of the rest comes in?
I think there's something that happens in the mind, like in the center of the mind, when you're ready for that to come to you. If you're consistently thinking, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, you're defeating yourself. Mm-hmm. And what does that do? Well, it creates the reality, it's not here yet. Yeah. There must be something more I have to do.
Well, this is where fascination comes in, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow, this is fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating how impatient I am. You know?
Yeah. It's fascinating how high my blood pressure is getting.
Yes.
Yeah. So, this was so wonderful, and So one of our goals with these mini STAR chats was to actually keep them to around 30 minutes so that we could just really laser in and let people absorb, and then, you know, let them process in whatever way that they feel. So we're coming to 30 minutes, and that went by like that. Oh my gosh. But is there one thing for each of you, one little takeaway for a viewer that you feel really gets to the essence of this?
Well, I'll jump in, and I'm going to go back to the message that came to me a couple of days ago. Singular attention, singular action, singular focus seem to be the prime message there. And you can do it in lots of different ways: meditation, action, intention, and that focused singular event then allows for the creative process and the ahas to come flying in. So that was a bit of a revelation for me, Kristy.
So glad you shared that, Nina.
Yeah, as I listen to Nina, what I have a vision of is if you were to go inside of a bookstore and you're looking for something inside the bookstore, let's say, for example, you want a cookbook. Well, you're more likely to find a cookbook if you go into the cookbook section than if you go into the fiction section. Now, you might be able to find a fiction book with some cooking in it, but you're more likely to find it if you end up in the right place in the bookstore. And I think life is kind of like a bookstore in that. So if I want to learn about cooking, I need to put myself in the kitchen. If I want to learn about fiction, then I should immerse myself in those books. If I want to learn about science, then go to a laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where singular focus comes in for me. Go to the place where it's more likely to occur.
Beautiful. Yeah. For me, I just want to top that off with a little tiny cherry, because it's a very simple concept. But for focus for me, when we start to really understand that we're maybe going to a place where our focus is not working for us, but rather against us, because believe me, I know what that feels like. I can get super ultra focused on something to the detriment of a lot of other things around me. And my gauge for working with that and for honoring it, because I would never want to get rid of my focus, but is to simply tune into my body and see what's happening there. If I'm starting to feel painful, uncomfortable, like I'm forcing, when focus is becoming forcing, then it's time to stand back and reevaluate and use exactly the tools that you shared. So I think that's all I want to say about that. Does anyone want to end with anything?
Thank you.
How fun.
This is fun. I can't wait till we play next month.
So we'll do this once a month, and we'll have Ja-lene or Nina come up with the next topic, and we'll keep playing. So I want to thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Ja-lene and Nina. I could do this every day.
That's focus. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.